We're joined today by Benedikt Becker, the Director of Sales and Marketing for Shikenso Analytics. Now, your company handles multiple avenues which are linked to gaming, including AI and esports, an area where a lot of operators are now choosing to move into. So I wanted to ask, why has esports become so important?
First off, thanks for having me on your show. And when it comes to esports, maybe before we get into the gaming sector, I think why it has become popular, like speaking in general, is because that brands struggle these days to reach Gen Zs. Yeah, I mean, like a younger audience, but like now for betting, it would be like a young but mature audience. And if you think about it, so back in the days, there were like avenues where you could reach people through, let's say, TV advertisement, radio advertisement, and so on. But then these days, like Gen Zs, they don't use these platforms and media anymore. So now the brands struggled to reach them. And then where are they spending their time? It's obviously online, but even if you try to identify, okay, where do they spend their time the most, you will see that it's not even like Netflix, but instead they spend it on YouTube, playing games, and so on. So there is a huge opportunities for brands in general to reach now this younger Gen Z audience through like gaming or sponsoring esports events.
So speaking of KPIs, for example, how can companies know that they're getting a return on their investment for promoting an event or sponsoring a certain esports team?
There's different types of sponsorships in esports. Yeah, you have like short-term commitments, long-term commitments. So you can, for example, sponsor a single event. You can host your own event, or you can sponsor tournaments, events, or like teams in general. And when it comes to these sponsorships, there's different metrics that you should look at. Yeah, obviously now most companies right away want to generate profits or look at a positive return on investment, but that usually takes time. So I would recommend to first focus, when you get engaged in esports, on the top funnel when it comes to sponsorships, like creating brand awareness. And these top funnel KPIs should be, you have impressions and viewership, but then also you would look into the media value that is calculated. Yeah, so the media value is usually calculated by looking at how many people are watching, how visible was your sponsorship asset, and where did the people come from. So then you will get an indicator, which is then typically like the media value, to evaluate, do I reach a media value that is worth my investment? Yeah, so this is, I think, the golden KPI when it comes to evaluating sponsorship investments in esports. But like before you look at these KPIs, that you make sure that you reach the right audience. Yeah, I think often too many brands forget to do like the research in the beginning before truly like tapping into esports. So you want to check, is the audience that is watching certain, let's say, gaming titles or certain events, is it truly matching your target audience? Yeah, are you focusing on people that are from 18 to 25 or like 21 to 35 and so on? But then also from where, like what's the origin country? From where are they tuning in? Is it, for example, CIS countries? Is it South America, Europe? Or do you want to focus on the Southeast Asia market? So when we analyzed some of the campaigns, sometimes we saw that betting operators, they didn't even operate in some of the countries, but the majority was viewing from these countries. So then I already feel like there's a huge missed out opportunity. Yeah, and I think to some extent, some of the brands are not even aware that these targetings are completely off, or to some extent. Yeah, so you should always be aware of the audience that you can reach through these sponsorships before you step in, or like you tap into to sponsoring esports events.
So looking at viewership versus the actual betting viewership, do you happen to have any breakdown of the amount of people who are watching versus those who are actually choosing to bet? I mean, because there are so many different types of games and different live gameplay, different live betting options. Do you have any ideas? It's something like 20% of overall viewership is going to be betting on esports?
I think in general, like I don't have any number for you. Like what's the exact like potential target audience that you can reach? But also, I mean, like you can even like win new traders. I mean, like you can convert them throughout the time. But I mean, like that would be extremely interesting to really like close the loop when it comes to tracking. What we are doing is like we track like the top funnel of things. That means like we make sure, or we give advice, or we just show the data of, are you reaching the right audience? Do you generate the media value that you paid for, that you want to like wish to generate during these events? Then later, let's say I'm tracking more performance orientated KPIs such as signups, first deposits and stuff like this. This is still job of the operators or the betting companies itself. I think that would be amazing if you could, but that's not the case. For example, have like an impression pixel on YouTube or Twitch. And then you can later also implement a conversion pixel when someone is signing up. So then it would be very easy to tell, okay, how many new acquisitions came from certain activation campaigns. I mean, there are some tricks or hacks to it. Now, in most cases, for example, if you sponsor an event, there will be exclusively like one betting partner like promoting during these events. Now, besides team sponsoring, there can be maybe like sometimes some changes, but then you can also work, for example, with unique discount codes. Yeah, if you know for sure we showed a certain discount code only during this event, during this time, during this tournament, then you would be able to understand, okay, truly, when it comes to the acquisition, how much acquisition did this sponsorship investment drive?
Now, that should be particularly important when they're hosted at, some of these integrated resorts, casino properties, bricks and mortar properties. Do you see that becoming more of the environment of the old traditional casino style, trying to build esports arenas as non-gaming facilities and leverage that then for their casinos?
That might be interesting in the future, but for now, I haven't seen any successful case study where this was truly like proven that you can convert these gamers or esports fans into like visiting then on-site offline, like on driving offline conversions. I can think of that probably that can work to some extent, but in general also I would recommend to all the companies that want to tap into esports that you truly try to understand a gamer and an esports fan. And that is typically you would fail if you take something like a casino or like offline things and transport it into the online world. And even when we talk about online world, like gamers and esports fans, they speak a different language. Yeah, I don't know how well it would resonate with them visiting a casino. Maybe they feel more comfortable with their friends at a LAN party or like in their, I mean, like it's wrong to say, but like in a basement or whatsoever situation. But I think this should be more the goal, not to convert the gamers into something that maybe worked well with like an audience that is maybe like now from 35 to 45 or maybe even older than that. It's I think more of like you have to crack the code when it comes to speaking the same language with these gamers, and also like trying to find truly something that they resonate with. And this is something that I see, to be very honest, more online.
But looking at the gaming companies who are advertising in the esports community, have you seen any companies which have stood out, which have managed to be resilient, continue to sponsor events and seem to be reaching those KPIs?
Yeah, so when it comes to like truly like making profits, like cracking the code, like I'm not 100% aware of like companies that have cracked the code yet, but I would think that a lot of companies are actually on the right way, because some of these companies are committed already for more than 10 years when it comes to esports. And the one company that always pops up in my mind is Pinnacle, for example. Yeah, when you do research and you check, okay, which industry tapped into esports at what year, it was actually when I did the research, it was Pinnacle in year 2010 that made the first move tapping into esports. And then also they had a very interesting approach to that. They hired some esports guys to have them on the team because they know how to speak the esports language. And I think they're doing many things right.
So, I mean, those are some examples of companies which have been successful within the esports space, but not all of them have. So what are some of the major mistakes that the gambling-related companies are running into when they're jumping into esports?
One of the biggest mistakes, or maybe let me try to think of two or three. So, but first off, it's you don't speak the same language as a gamer or esports fan. Yeah, you truly have to figure that out first. So how do you create a product that is attractive to a gamer or esports fan? And then also, how do you communicate with that fan? How do you structure your marketing plan? How do you reach out with them? So that's number one. And then number two is truly doing your research in terms of demographics. Yeah. So which gaming title would you like to sponsor? But also, like, where does the viewership come from? I think this is the second big thing. And then while you are invested in esports, which should typically be like a long-term investment and commitment, because there is no overnight success when it comes to that. Yeah, like, and everything in marketing is always like lesson learned. You optimize the campaign, and then once you see success, you scale where it shows like the best numbers. So then when you are in esports, then also you should have analytics to measure not just bottom line, like conversions, profits, or like revenues and etc., but also like the top funnel in marketing. You should know, okay, whom do you reach? How many do you reach? What's the media value that you generate? How visible was your brand? For how many seconds was the brand visible? And so on and so on. So then you have many ways how to optimize the campaigns along the way.
Well, that's very interesting. I mean, we see that esports is a hugely growing industry. It's, multi-billion dollars already. AI is obviously on the tips of everyone's tongues. I want to say very much thank you for your time. Benedikt Becker, Director of Sales and Marketing for Shikenso Analytics. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.